Today we're going to be doing a project about polar bears, but we're going to be really working on the concept of value. So one of our elements of art that we look at is value, and it's when it's something that goes from dark to light or light to dark, and you're really creating these really neat shading effects in value. So what we're going to be using today is an oil pastel. I did two different examples, one with a black and one with a blue. You can either use markers to get the wash or a watercolor for the background, as well as liquid watercolor probably gives the best dark background, brightest colors. Obviously a paintbrush, and then you're going to need 2 pieces of 9x12 paper, some scissors, and a glue stick. So as we're starting off with this in class, I'll be showing this video from the Art of Education called What is Value? Now that we talked about value a little bit more, let's learn a little bit about polar bears. So I've inserted in here a little video about polar bears, and I'll show you a quick clip of it. And then throughout our art project today in class, I'll go back and I'll play a little bit more of it.
This is going to be super cool because in this video we're going to learn about polar bears. Yes, polar bears! Polar bears are huge bears that love the cold. They love the cold. They live inside an area of the globe called the Arctic Circle. You can see it right here on this map. If you were to look straight down at a globe, that area at the very top is the area of the globe in the Arctic Circle. Now this is interesting. Only about 4 million people live within the Arctic Circle. It can be a difficult place to live because it's so incredibly cold. But it is the perfect place for polar bears! Polar bears love the cold, which is why the Arctic Circle is the perfect home for these amazing bears! Oh, look at these 2 polar bears! They're friends! They're friends! Just play nice! Play nice, polar bears! You may know this already, but polar bears don't just live in the Arctic Circle. There are polar bears that live in other parts of the world in captivity. That means they live in places like the zoo, habitats that human beings create. We are going to share more about this later in this video. For now, we need your help with an easy question. Can you help us? What color are polar bears? Yeah, what color are they? Uh-huh. Yeah, they're the color white. They're the color white. Now, we have another question for you. What color is their fur? Did you guess white? A lot of people think that polar bear fur is white because that is what it looks like to us. But polar bear fur isn't white, it is clear. Polar bear fur is actually clear, that's right. So why does polar bear fur look white to us? Because not only is polar bear fur clear, it is translucent. Wow, what a word. Translucent. Can you say translucent? Impress somebody today and say, polar bear fur is translucent. What does translucent mean? Well, translucent means light can pass through it. Light passes through the polar bear fur. How cool is that?
Now that we've watched a little bit about polar bears, let's take out our sketchbooks and let's practice drawing polar bears. What's something that you think is the most important or must-haves? I've listed a few on the side here. For example, must-haves should probably be a big body, right? Paws or big feet, ears. They always have a head, nose, those sort of things, right? So in your sketchbooks, I want you to just kind of play with drawing a polar bear. Do you want to follow along with me? I'm doing a little bit of a design here on the right. So you can do that. We'll be doing this together as a class as well. But why don't you just take this moment here to play with something or what you feel polar bears should look like. Where do you want the ears to be? How do you want the eyes to look on yours? Or the mouth, the nose, all those different other features. So take this moment now to start sketching. And you could do small sketches, create some squares, divide up your paper, or use the entire paper in your sketchbook and really play with how it's going to look all put together. Next slide here, what I wanted to show you is this is what we're going to be doing. This inspiration was found on Instagram from an LM art room, and I really liked how the watercolor in the background and just an introduction to creating value using our fingers and oil pastels. And what better time to do that than in the winter when we're surrounded by snow? So here are some other examples of polar bears. I know we were practicing in our sketchbooks, and you could practice with, larger heads or smaller heads and the bodies, and thinking if we had discussions in class about if it was a little baby, a little polar bear cub, how would that look different than an adult bear when it's sitting and so forth. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into creating on our paper, our final copy. We're going to draw our bears. So what I want you to do is have your sketchbook out for those examples. Which one was your favorite one? You can follow along with me or create your very own style or change to it. But we're going to start off with pencil. I'm going to be using a marker so you could see it better in the video. And then we'll all go over it with oil pastel. So let's get started. Okay, so today what we're going to be doing is we're drawing our polar bears on a 9x12 piece of paper. In this video, I'm going to be using a pen because I want it to show up really well on the paper in the camera here. So the first thing let's start off with is drawing the paws or the feet. Remember, you can pause this video at any time should I be going too fast. So we're going to do the two rainbows, and then inside you'll notice I'm drawing the paw feet, like the marks in there, with angles, one going in and the other another way. So like a C and a backward C. I've got the other rainbow shape to kind of make like the belly line, and then think about the large body. You want it to fill a lot of the page as best as you can. We're trying to make big polar bears. Then we're going to make a head. You can make it a circle, you can make it an oval, you can make it any shape that you're thinking. And then we're going to create the ears. You can see I did the ears where I had rainbows on each side, and then the little ones on the inside. Also, we're creating the big kind of nose part, showing its muzzle, and doing like a little triangle upside down for its black nose. You can add a shiny if you'd like, but you don't have to. And then think about the style of eye that you would like. Do you want it to have a bigger eye? Do you want it to be smaller? Do you want anime eye, realistic? What is something that stands out to you? And then to help guide you with how your finished product is going to look, go in and fill it out with that pencil that you're using. I'm darkening it currently with my permanent marker, so that way you can see it. But this way, if you make a beautiful oops, you can always erase something or see if you like it before we go over it with oil pastel. Once you're finished with the drawing portion, I'm going to be handing out oil pastels. In this video, I thought I would try using a blue so I could show you the difference between blue and black. So what you're going to do is you're just going to trace your pencil line that you did using that oil pastel. And remember, oil pastels are kind of a waxier, easier crayon version to work with, and they do a lot of really cool rubbings and blending and so forth. So really outline all those pencil areas, color in that nose, the eyes. Here I didn't do the eyes with the blue because I really wanted the black to stand out that I used, but I think it would look really pretty, however you choose as well. So as you're doing it, do nice thick lines, make it nice and dark so you're pushing harder with it, but not too hard that you break the oil pastel. And you'll notice I'm just holding the paper and I'm working slowly, however works best for you. Once you're done, you're going to set your oil pastel aside and we'll collect those. And then you're going to use your finger and smudge it. So you're just going to take your finger and pull some of that oil pastel away. And you're blending it with your finger, but also creating a smudge. So you're getting these neat shadows. Think about, where do you want it to be the darkest shadow? You don't want to do the whole head and body because you wouldn't see a shadow around everything, but you would see a shadow around certain parts even more so. So you can pull your finger and create these different details and shadows as you go through it. If you find you didn't use enough oil pastel to make it thicker, you can go back and just add a little bit more. But I find just having the dark line as well as the lighter as it's going when you're pulling it shows really good variation and value. Now remember, you're not filling the whole thing with the value, you're just smudging what you can nearby. Think about the shape. How would the fur look? What do you want to really emphasize and have stand out where when you look at the bear you go, oh yeah, that's what I want. Another option I wanted to show you, if you don't have oil pastels at home, you could also use watercolor or just a marker. So here I'm going to take out my black marker, and I did another drawing a while ago just to practice kind of my sketch as we all try. And what you're going to do is you're going to wake up that marker. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to outline. Try to go nice and thick around, because the thicker the line that you create, the more that the water will make the marker bleed, and that's what we're looking for. So to do this, you would just go around nice and thick. If you make a beautiful oops like I did, it just gives it more character and shows some more thickness in areas, etc. So just really play with going over all of those pencil lines, make it nice and thick using your black marker, and outline everything that you can. Once you've outlined everything, I'm going to be giving you one of my water brushes. And to just get it to go, you're just going to give it a gentle squeeze like I showed you, just to get the bristles wet. And then you're going to go along the black marker and you're going to pull the color off and down to the side. Work all the way around and just kind of squeeze gently here and there in order to wake up the marker with a little bit of water. A little goes a long way. We don't want our paper soaking wet. So take your time now thinking about where do you want it to be and really just go around those edges and wake up certain parts to create that awesome shadow effect where we call value. Once you're finished, then we're going to take out a pair of scissors and we're going to cut out our polar bear. You might want to keep some of that fuzzy textured look that you have with your oil pastel, so you can kind of bubble cut around it, or you can get nice and close and just trim all the way around. We'll even get that little part in between the paws and the belly. Once you're done, take those scraps and recycle them. Now I'm going to be giving you another piece of paper, and what we're going to be doing is creating a Crayon Resist. So you notice I have a white crayon, and you can't quite see on the paper of what I'm creating, but when you look at it in front of you, you'll notice. So I want you to do a rainbow landscape, or like a big hill that's going to be in the background for your polar bear. And above that hill, you're just going to use your white crayon and or even a colored pencil, and you're going to just do little dots or circles all over it. So to show you, because it's hard to see on the back of mine, I'm going to show you with a pencil. And I want you to do it with just your white crayon, as you can see. So here I'm going to do my dots all over the place. You can do thicker dots and smaller dots. You could do swirls if you want. And that's what I want you to be doing with your white crayon. Okay, so take your time really filling in those details. If you want to have a couple cracks or different things, or another hill in the front of the other one, you're more than welcome to do that. What we're going to be doing next is using our watercolor. You can also do the same technique by having a plastic bag, writing marker on the plastic bag and getting it wet. So what I'm doing here is I'm using my spray bottle and I'm just doing a quick spray on my paint palette so I can wake up my watercolor tray. We're then going to be using my water brushes. So when you're using watercolor, remember you want to be using water. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing a little bit of pigment, so a little bit of color and just a drop of it, and I'm going to squeeze water from my water brush on my paper. Not enough to make a puddle, but just enough to move the watercolor paints around the page a lot more. So you can do the same thing with using liquid watercolor, so it's already wet for you. Or you can do what I'm doing and just, you can see the longer the water is sat on top of the color in the watercolor tray, the more the puddle is a deeper saturated color that I get to use. So just a tiny drop that I'm just dipping my brush in to have the brush absorb the water is what I'm putting on my paper. I'm not scraping, I'm not swirling in the paint. It's just a quick dab. I'm not even digging it deep down. So remember, when we're using watercolor, it's very gentle. It should be pushing just puddles of water all over the paper. Right now, I'm focusing on just using 3 colors. So I'm using the cool colors. You could create any type of color pattern or design that you like. Maybe you want just 1 or 2 or 3. I'm moving mine in different areas and ways, but you can do yours going left to right, up and down, whatever you would like. Now for the bottom half, whenever you're ready, what I'm doing is I'm just using a very gentle amount here. So what I did is I'm just going to spray, and I'm just going to take 1 little touch of the watercolor, as you can see, and it makes darker, medium, and light areas. And this just helps it not cover all of it. It's just giving some value to my snow. So that's what I want you to do, is just add a tiny bit. We're not making it look like a whole landscape, but that's all I'm looking for. And you'll notice that slowly the white crayon is going to show up through all of your watercolor. Now, once this is dry, you're going to take your polar bear that you created, and we're going to stick the glue on it and stick it right onto our project. So now that my painting is dried, as you can see, because sometimes make sure that your name and your teacher code is on the back. And to add our glue, all you're going to do, and you don't need a lot, is you're going to go around the outside of your bear, very simply, like this. So get all those edges and do a big X, because just that little bit will fit and glue onto your paper. The longer you spend gluing, the quicker that glue is going to dry. And you can see your beautiful bear as you push it on. Just watch out that you're not smearing or smudging any more of that oil pastel. And there you go.